One of the questions we get here, especially as it relates to driving offenses, specifically DUIs, OVWIs, again, those two acronyms, exactly the same thing, is, hey, the judge ordered my license suspended or notified the BMV that I failed a chemical test, so my license is now suspended because of this. And the judge at a hearing imposed what's called an ignition interlock device. What is an ignition interlock device? An ignition interlock device is essentially an alcohol monitor that hooks up to your vehicle. So you would have to set up an appointment with a company. And there are multiple companies in the state of Indiana, ranging from prices of not terribly expensive to outrageously expensive. And then the cheaper it is, sometimes the more issues you have with your car, more expensive it is. Usually better for the car, better for the battery, less wear and tear on the vehicle. But an ignition interlock device in itself is a device that hooks up to your vehicle, to your ignition system. And before you try to turn your car on, you have to blow into the alcohol monitor. It's a giant tube that hooks up to a little box, and it is a handheld device. There's also a camera that is mounted into your vehicle to make sure it's you that's actually blowing versus handing it to a passenger, handing it to someone else in the vehicle, or using some other contraption. We've seen hair dryers and things of that nature used to try to blow into it, to try to trick the system. But it's a device you have to blow into, and it's going to register whether or not there's alcohol in your breath at that time. If there is, your car won't turn on. Any notification will go to whichever company that you had tested positive for alcohol. And then it starts kind of a shutout system or a reset system where then you have to wait a certain amount of time again where you do a rolling test to try to figure out if it was a false positive or anything like that. If you do test positive, it will shut your car off, make it completely immobile to the point you will have to have it serviced, and you have to have the ignition interlock recalibrated. So if you have an ignition interlock device, it's very important to understand the complexities behind it, because it's not necessarily just alcohol that could trigger a positive effect. You brush your teeth in the morning, you jump right in, depending on the type of toothpaste, you could still test for trace amounts of alcohol that can be picked up on that machine. You see that more commonly with people who use mouthwash and then try to jump right in. You're still going to have some of that alcohol runoff from the mouthwash on your breath, and the ignition interlock will pick that up. So essentially, ignition interlock is an alcohol monitoring that hooks up to your car. You have to blow into to not only start your car, but then periodically as you're driving, if you're going longer distances, it will go off as you're driving, which is completely crazy because then you have to blow as you're driving to make sure you're not drinking while you're driving. So if you have any questions about ignition interlock, give us a call at the Marc Lopez Law Firm, 317-632-3642. Remember, always plead the fifth.